Have you ever noticed how entire grocery store aisles are now dedicated to different types of salt? You've got pink Himalayan salt, non-GMO salt, sea salt, kosher salt, even salt substitutes. Well, could you pick the one that's actually better for your blood pressure? Most people can't. And the truth is, neither can your arteries. Hi, I'm Dr. Brian. I'm going to cut through the noise and give you the science that actually matters. Today's topic, salt. Which kind is better for blood pressure? And which claims are just, shall I say, flavorful advertising? Stick with me because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which salts are hype, which ones might actually help, and why salt marketing is one of the sneakiest tricks in the grocery store. Let's break it down. Hi, I'm Dr. Brian. At the end of the day, most salts are just sodium chloride. It's the sodium part that's the real player here. Too much sodium pulls extra water into your bloodstream, raising pressure inside your arteries. That's what drives up blood pressure. Whether it's mined from a mountain in Pakistan, evaporated from the ocean, or refined into those neat white crystals on your table, the sodium part is what really matters for your blood pressure. Because high sodium intake raises blood pressure in most people. That's been shown over and over again in very large clinical studies. So when you see fancy salts, remember, if they're sodium chloride, they all have the same fundamental effect on your blood pressure. So now let's look at the specific different kinds of salts that are available. Salt number one, pink Himalayan salt. Well, this one is really popular. It's marketed as being more natural. It's marketed as being packed with trace minerals. Influencers on TikTok and Instagram love it. And it's true. Himalayan salt, it does contain tiny amounts of things like magnesium, calcium, and iron. That's why it has that pretty pink color. But here's the catch. You would have to eat enormous amounts of pink salt to get any meaningful mineral content, as in cups and cups and cups of the salt. And by then you literally would be dead from too much sodium. So in terms of blood pressure, pink salt is no better than table salt. It still raises your blood pressure if you eat too much. Salt number two, non-GMO salt. You may have seen this label and thought, wow, that must be healthier. No genetic changes at all. Non-GMO salt. Sounds healthy, right? Well, this one always makes me smile. And here's the funny part. Salt doesn't contain DNA. There's nothing there to genetically modify. It's like saying the rock in your yard is non-GMO. True, but who cares? Irrelevant. So non-GMO salt is 100% a marketing gimmick. It sounds health conscious, but it has zero impact on your blood pressure risk. Salt number 3 and 4, sea salt, kosher salt. Now these are often less refined and can have different crystal sizes, which change the flavor and the way it measures out in cooking. For example, a teaspoon of coarse kosher salt actually has less sodium than a teaspoon of table salt, but simply because the crystals are bigger and they don't pack as tightly. But gram for gram, it's still sodium chloride. Your blood pressure doesn't care whether it came from the Dead Sea or Morton's. So definitely enjoy them for flavor because that's real, but don't expect a miracle cure for your blood pressure. Number 4, salt substitutes. Now here's where things get interesting and the story actually changes. Many salt substitutes replace some of or all of the sodium with potassium chloride. That's potassium chloride. This includes Morton's salt substitute, Morton's light salt, or Walmart's new salt. Unlike sodium, potassium can actually help lower your blood pressure. And in fact, high potassium intake through foods like bananas, beans, sweet potatoes, leafy greens is linked to better blood pressure control. And in fact, I did a video talking just about that. If you swap your salt shaker for a potassium shaker, you might reduce your blood pressure, but be very careful because you can only do that if your kidneys are healthy. Now, people with kidney disease or those on certain medications, especially certain water pills that are quite common, diuretics, can run into dangerous levels of potassium. So before you use salt substitutes, talk to your doctor, especially the one who's giving you your antihypertensive drugs. Finally, there's a whole spice line known as Dash. It doesn't have sodium, it doesn't have potassium, and it shouldn't do anything for your blood pressure. So what's the bottom line? Which salt is best? When it comes to blood pressure, the best salt isn't about the type. It's about how much sodium you're getting overall. Pink salt, pretty, not healthier. Non-GMO salt, clever marketing, same sodium. Sea salt, kosher salt, great flavor, great for cooking, same blood pressure effect. Potassium salt, that's the only one with a benefit, but not safe for everyone. So at the end of the day, what should you actually do? You want to aim for less than 2,300 milligrams of sodium each day, regardless of how pretty the color of your salt or the country of origin of your salt. That's about a teaspoon total. If you already have high blood pressure, you want to shoot for closer to 1,500 milligrams of salt. And remember, most importantly, the salt shaker isn't really the main culprit. Processed food, packaged food, restaurant food, that's really where the bulk of the sodium that you take in every day hides. If you want to get your potassium up a little bit, a power move is potassium-rich foods. Beans, spinach, avocados, bananas, sweet potatoes. That's a natural way to get potassium up and fight sodium's effect. Just don't let the fancy packaging of salt fool you. Salt is salt when it comes to blood pressure. The real trick isn't picking the prettiest salt on the shelf. It's controlling how much of that pretty salt makes its way onto your plate. That's salt. If you found this helpful, hit the like button, subscribe for more evidence-based health tips, and I'll see you next time.